To understand the real story, we need to delve into the history of China and Africa's relations. China began trading with Northeast Africa before the Christian era, establishing some of the earliest links between these two regions. During the early part of the Christian era, several Chinese travelers reportedly visited Africa, indicating a mutual curiosity and exchange of ideas. A significant milestone occurred during the Ming Dynasty, when in the early 15th century, Admiral Zheng He's naval fleet reached the northeast coast of Africa. These voyages symbolized China's maritime prowess and its early interest in the wider world, although this period was followed by a return to a more inward-looking approach. After centuries of limited contact, the latter part of the 18th century saw Chinese laborers and traders arriving in various regions of Africa. These migrants established communities, particularly in South Africa, where they maintained strong ties to their homeland. Following the establishment of the Republic of China in 1912 under Sun Yat-sen, official relations with South Africa were developed. The Chinese community in South Africa supported the nationalist Kuomintang Party and contributed to China's efforts during the Second Sino-Japanese War, reflecting a transnational solidarity. With the founding of the People's Republic of China in 1949 under Mao Zedong, relations with China were initially limited. Mao's focus was on consolidating power within China, and few African nations had gained independence at that time. However, as more African countries emerged from colonial rule in the 1950s and 60s, the People's Republic began to engage more actively with the continent. During the 1950s and 60s, China supported Africa's revolutionary movements fighting against colonialism. The Bandung Conference in 1955 was a pivotal moment, bringing together leaders from Africa and Asia to promote solidarity against imperialism. Premier Zhou Enlai's visit to 10 African nations between 1963 and 1964 further solidified China's commitment, during which he outlined principles emphasizing mutual respect, non-interference, and mutual benefit. China began providing aid to African countries, though its own resources were limited. Projects like the construction of the Tanzania-Zambia Railway became symbols of China-Africa cooperation. However, the Great Proletarian Cultural Revolution in the late 1960s disrupted China's foreign relations, including those with Africa, as internal upheaval took precedence. After Mao's death, Deng Xiaoping assumed leadership and shifted China's focus to domestic economic reform. During the 1980s, China pulled back somewhat from Africa, emphasizing internal development over international ideological struggles. Relations remained cordial, but economic engagement was limited. The 1990s marked a reinvigoration of China-Africa relations under President Jiang Zemin, in part reacting to international criticism following the Tiananmen Square incident. China sought to strengthen its global partnerships. Africa, less critical of China's internal policies, became a key region for renewed diplomatic and economic efforts. In 2000, the establishment of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation institutionalized the relationship. This platform facilitated high-level dialogue and cooperation, setting the stage for significant expansion in trade, investment, and aid. President Hu Jintao built upon this foundation in the 2000s, dramatically increasing China's economic involvement in Africa. Trade between China and Africa surged, with China becoming the continent's largest trading partner. Since 2012, President Xi Jinping has continued to deepen and broaden China-Africa relations. His leadership has seen an emphasis on a comprehensive strategic partnership, with initiatives like the Belt and Road Initiative extending into Africa. China's involvement now spans economic, political, security, and cultural dimensions. The opening of China's first overseas military base in Djibouti reflects a new level of strategic interest. From ancient trade routes to modern strategic partnerships, the history of China-Africa relations is rich and complex. This long-standing engagement provides essential context for understanding current dynamics. China's role in Africa today cannot be fully appreciated without recognizing the historical depth of their interactions. Now that we understand the history of China-Africa relations, we can dive deep into the real story behind the West's suspicion of these ties. Are these concerns justified, or are they influenced by broader geopolitical rivalries? Hey, if you like that video, Click somewhere to the right of your screen to watch the full unfiltered version. All the best and thank you.